I'm going home. Alright. Time to go home. So, what is there to talk about? There's so much to talk about. There's so much going on. It's less than 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks or so to the inauguration of Donald J. Trump to President of the United States, 45th President of the United States. I am alone amongst my friends in being happy and excited about that. I know people have been like, ew, Trump, ew. If you support Trump, you must be a racist. You must hate women, or look, just because you support somebody for political leadership doesn't mean you agree with everything they've said or done. It means that you made a choice. You had candidates to choose from. Now, in terms of me, I'm Canadian, so my choice means nothing. It's one of those situations where if I had the opportunity to vote in an election in the United States because I was a citizen, who would I vote for? Who do I stand behind in terms of the contest? It's a spectator sport for me. It has nothing to do with me, but still people get really upset when you marshal your support for somebody that they absolutely despise, you know? Anyway, so what were my choices? Gary Johnson, which I really, really wanted to like. I really wanted to like Gary Johnson. I'm closest to libertarian on just about everything. And I really wanted Gary Johnson to be better. But a couple of instances just made me go, no, I can't support this clown. First off, yes, he was I think he was a 2-term governor of, was it New Mexico, I think? And he was a popular governor in New Mexico. In terms of representing the Libertarian Party, I guess he was probably the best out of all of them. Maybe, what's his name, McAfee would have been good. It would have been like CEO versus versus shill for CEO versus Green candidate. If he had been the Libertarian candidate, I think he would have had more. He would have been able to gain more traction. But people might have just said, "Oh, McAfee, he's just like a more punk rock version of Donald Trump." But anyway, they chose Gary Johnson, and at the beginning I was like, yeah, go Gary, yeah, I would stand behind him. And you know, he framed the conversation, or he framed the libertarian talking points, you know, as, you know, fiscally conservative, socially liberal. But then a couple of instances made me go, oh, I can't support him. He was talking to somebody, I think it was at the RNC, but he was talking to somebody about immigration, illegal immigration. And he got all social justice warrior on the interviewer. He was like, just so you know, the term illegal immigrant is offensive. And the guy, you know, was remaining calm the entire time. He's like, well, is it an inaccurate description of you know, what they are? He's like, you call them undocumented migrants or undocumented workers. He says it's a racist term to say illegal alien or illegal immigrant. And I'm like, no, it's not. It doesn't. Race doesn't enter into it. Somebody who's in the country illegally, is an illegal alien. If they've immigrated into the country illegally, they're an illegal immigrant. That's not racist. It doesn't matter where they've come from, whether they've come from Canada or Pakistan or Mexico or wherever. But, you know, again, with the social justice warrior mindset, they hear racism where it doesn't exist, right? You can say something completely innocuous, something just a simple, bare bones fact about a situation, and it conjures images in their minds when they hear certain buzzwords. It conjures images in their minds of what you think or what they think you mean. So they hear illegal immigrant, they think you're talking about Mexicans. Well, not all illegal immigrants are Mexicans. Not all undocumented workers are Mexicans. But anyway, there was that, and plus he had an opportunity to speak his piece, and I swear he was high half the time. He did that stupid, I'm going to get at least 10% of the vote. I don't know what the rules were to be included in the debates. I think it was you had to get 15% of national polls, and like a plurality of national polls. It couldn't be one outlier poll saying, he's got 15%. He never got above 10 or 11. If he even reached 10, I don't even remember. But anyway, but the pollsters, the way they do their polling was obviously flawed, because they had Hillary up by 11 or 12 points in many states, and in many polls on the national polling, and they were wrong. She didn't win. So I guess she won popular vote. Big deal. Somebody on the Greg Gutfield's show made a good point about the popular vote. They said, "Oh, she won the popular vote," is like saying, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, they won, but Cowboys, they got more yards," or whatever. I'm just throwing two names out there, but whatever. Who cares about yards? It's the participation trophy, the popular vote. But anyway, so yeah, I couldn't stand behind the Libertarian candidate because Gary Johnson was just a schmuck, and I did not like Bill Weld at all. Bill Weld looked like an extra in the movie Men in Black. He looked like he was one of the Men in Black that didn't have an actual name, like a walk-on Men in Black guy. He had absolutely no character, no charisma whatsoever. And I mean, Gary Johnson had a certain kind of charisma, but it was like a goofball. He was like, he's like Jughead. He looked like Jughead from, the Archie comics. Anyway. Of course I couldn't vote for Jill Stein. Jill Stein was she's Green Party. And you know what they say about Green parties? Green parties are like tomatoes. They start green, but eventually turn red. So, Green parties, ultimately want control of the means of production. They want to make sure that, businesses are so restricted in how they operate, all in the name of keeping the sky blue and making sure the water tastes nice. And I mean, I'm for environmentalism. I would consider myself an environmentalist. I try to avoid waste whenever possible. Oh shit, I'm gonna get stuck in the middle of the intersection. Oh no. Anyway. I would consider myself an environmentalist. I've been an environmentalist since I was in high school. I used to harp on my parents about, recycling back before recycling was really a thing. Before the Blue Box program, I was harping on my parents, to recycle their stuff. Anyway. But I couldn't stand for Jill Stein. She's, and after the election results, and she started, doing the whole recount thing, that just made me hate her even more. No, it was, I mean, I knew right along, it had to be between two main candidates, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Couldn't possibly support Hillary Clinton. It's not because I'm a misogynist. It's not because I'm sexist. I would have been very happy if Carla Fiorina had become the Republican candidate. I would be happy with many, many other female candidates apart from Hillary Clinton. The reason I couldn't stand Hillary Clinton is because she is arguably the most corrupt politician to ever set foot in Washington, D.C. last 50 years. She is, her and her husband, the most conniving, dirty politicians ever to live in Washington. And yeah, I couldn't in my right mind support her. Plus, you know, you want to support somebody who appeals to you on a personal level as well, and she didn't. She has zero charisma, absolutely none. No charisma whatsoever. She is not a likable person, either in her public persona or, you know, in anything she's, you know, recorded to have said. It's just, yeah, can't stand her. Just awful. Whereas Donald Trump, the guy's got presence. You know, say what you want about him. Grab her by the pussy, blah, 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 but the guy's got presence. And speaking as an asshole, I think it's about time we had an asshole in the White House. You know, and I mean, when I say asshole, I mean, you know, when you call someone an asshole with a smile on your face. You know they're an asshole, but you know what? They bring a smile to your face. Donald Trump's that kind of asshole. He's not the kind of asshole where you go, you're a fucking asshole, and you want to punch him in the mouth. I mean, maybe some people do, but for me, yeah, I know Donald Trump's an asshole, but he's you know, what he did to the media, how he trolled the media for the entire campaign, how he ran a campaign on next to no money, and how he got more traction through tweeting than anything else. It just brings a fucking smile to my face, because I'm an old school shit poster and lurker on 4chan. And what I love most about 4chan is the culture of, you know, rustling people's jimmies, getting a rise out of people, saying things that they're not expecting to hear, or posting things that they're not expecting to read, and making them like lose their shit. To the point where on 4chan, it stopped being about, especially on the poll board, it stopped being about actually saying things, you know, that you actually believed, and it turned into a game of who can you bait, who can you cast out there to piss off, and how many people are you going to get a response from. And so for me, 4chan is like, it's a laugh, it's fun to watch 4chan, and watching Donald Trump troll the media for the entire campaign, it was like watching 4chan interact with the real world. It was hilarious. And when Hillary Clinton made that speech about the alt-right at one of her rallies, and out in the audience somebody yelled, "Pepe!" I fucking lost it. I laughed my ass off. And when Rachel Maddow starts, you know, going on about how Pepe's a symbol of white supremacy, I fucking howled. I thought that was hilarious. I mean, like, these people are they're just so in the dark. And the sad thing is that the people who work in modern media, they have it at their disposal. They have it all. They've got people working in their offices who should know this shit. They hire teams of people just to scour the internet and find out, you know, people who are supposed to be internet savvy and know shit. And their people don't know anything. It's so funny. It's just, I don't know. The campaign for me was so entertaining. And so, you know, when you've got a shit poster in the flesh in Donald J. Trump, and he's giving rallies to tens of thousands of people, and you know, he's tweeting and causing everyone to bust a fucking gut and lose their minds. It was like, yes, 4chan has gone mainstream. 4chan, you know, the internet site that, you know, a year before the campaign, the biggest thing they did was raid Habbo Hotel, and, you know, have a bunch of avatars in Habbo Hotel stand in the form of a swastika and block the pool and say pool's closed due to AIDS. This was what 4chan was doing a year before the presidential election. And then And then the fucking maniacs, they elect Donald J. Trump. Now I know that's kind of, hyperbole. They weren't directly responsible for electing Donald J. Trump. But, make no mistake, they used their meme magic, and they had an impact, no doubt. There's no doubt they had an impact on the election, and that fucking makes me howl. So yeah, I gotta support Donald Trump, because hell, he's a fucking meme in the flesh. So anyway, there's more to it than that, obviously, but just in terms of why I got so much enjoyment out of the election, and why I'm looking forward to Donald Trump as president, is because for years people have thought I was a weirdo and a freak for going on 4chan. I'm a 40 something guy on 4chan, where it's a bunch of 15-year-old shit posters who watch anime all day. And I'm not even into anime, but I am into 4chan, and I am into shit posting culture and trolling and internet culture. So it was very, very enjoyable for me to see that sort of thing bubble up into the real world and have such an impact. So purely from a sick fascination, that's why I got behind Trump. So I'm like, yeah, he's one of us. He's my people, and these are my people. These people at these rallies, they're my people. They're not all my people, obviously. Some of them, I probably wouldn't agree with on anything, but some of them were my people. And that guy in the audience at Hillary's rally yelling, "Bye-bye!" Oh, fuck, I howled. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, I'm home now. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.